Hello, it is I. Now with new games coming out every 2 years or so, the developers improve upon many things, and Forza is a great example of this, as the customization, the map and especially the car sounds have all had massive overhauls. However, there are also quite a few things where they seem to have taken a step back, as the older Forza titles managed to nail quite a lot of things which the modern games don't even come close to. Well, that is why I made this video, as here are 8 things which older Forza games just did better. Now you don't know the drill yet, 4,000 likes is the target as per usual. Remember that the more likes we get, the more likely that this video would get shared around, and maybe the devs would go back to these older methods. Hey, you never know. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into this video. Now the car list in Forza Horizon 5 is very good, let's be honest. You've got many supercars, hypercars, JDM icons, SUVs, pickup trucks, racing trucks, and even meme cars like the Peel P50 and this Chinese thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's a Chinese car. But I feel like there's so much wasted potential, as some of the older games had so many incredible cars which would have been perfect in Horizon 5. As in Motorsport 4, you saw many JDM icons like the Lexus IS300, EG6 Civic, Master Speed 3, Eclipse GTS, the FTO. Also, there were many ordinary cars like the Nissan Leaf, Toyota Prius, Citroen C1, Peugeot 206, Smart 42, and let's not forget the almighty Jennifer, aka the Honda CRZ, my Honda CRZ. But it's not just old Forza games with amazing cars. Even Horizon 3 has something which Horizon 5 doesn't have. Race cars. Yep, you can drive with full-on GT3 cars in Forza Horizon 3. But in Horizon 5, the only race car is the Ferrari 488 Challenge. And that's barely even a race car, let's be honest. So Forza, you really need to take a leaf out of the older Forza books, because the car list at the moment is decent, I'll give you that. But it could be the most decent car list ever if you could bring back those incredible cars into the franchise. Or at least just the Honda CRZ, I'll be very happy with that.
Still making snow in the pot, still I grow in a crop.
I feel like everybody has a love-hate relationship with Wheelspins in Horizon 5, because you're either going to get a super rare car which you've always dreamt of owning in the game, or an ugly dress that your character will never ever wear. Hey, why are there so many dresses in the game? What's going on? Whereas games like Horizon 2 executed Wheelspins very well, as in that game you could either win cars or money. Simples. Forza Motorsport 6 also had an interesting system as well, where you could see all the prizes you can win, so you could time when it stops to maximize the chance of winning something valuable. And Horizon 3 had a system similar to Horizon 2 as well, except instead of just winning cars or money, there were even Horizon Edition cars in the mix as well, which were amazing. And you know what, if you got the Super in that, yeah, big up yourself, that's a rare car, you know. And also you had the option to buy Wheelspins as well, which was very interesting, because if you had a lot of money to spend, you could just open up some Wheelspins and hope to get something good. Whereas in modern Horizon games, the only way you could buy Wheelspins is by using Forza's on points, which is a bit of a waste in my opinion. So I'm really hoping that Forza reintroduce simple Wheelspins without clothes or horns, because let's be honest, nobody really cares about horns or clothes, unless it's real life. In real life, yeah, people care about clothes because people be walking around in them, you know. Now I know I spoke about Horizon 5 having a massive overhaul on car mods, however there are a couple of aspects where the older Forza games just did things a little bit better. Firstly, Forza Aero. When you hear Forza Aero, we think of ugly out of place splitters and counters which don't look good on any car. However, back in the Xbox 360 era of consoles, they were actually a thing of beauty. Yep, Forza Aero actually used to look good back then, what's going on? Not just that, but in even older Forza games like Motorsport 2, there were Forza bumpers which looked incredible. They looked like they were straight out of Need for Speed, they were so creative. Speaking of bumpers, there were so many bumpers in Forza Motorsport 4 which aren't seen in the current games, despite the cars being in the game. Like, how can you miss out on these bumpers? Come on guys. Now let's not be all negative, Horizon 5 does have a lot of customization features which the older games never saw, like paintable brake calipers, except this was seen in an older Forza game. Forza Motorsport 2 to be precise. Yep, a 2007 racing game had a feature we've been requesting for decades. Forza literally got rid of a feature that they didn't need to get rid of, then waited for the players to complain, then reintroduced it 15 years later, and acted like it's a revolutionary feature. Like, it's kind of like what Apple did with headphone jack. So although the customization overall is definitely better than modern Forza games like Horizon 5, you gotta admit that the older Forza games did do a couple of things a little bit better.
Don't wear them boot cuts, man, they swallow your kick.
Now in 2011, with the release of Forza Motorsport 4, the developers introduced a brand new feature into the franchise called Forzavista, where you could walk around your car and admire it, open the doors, check out the engine. It was all very revolutionary at the time. And there was even a feature where you can hear Jeremy Clarkson giving information about that very car.
If you think the Lamborghini Murcielago isn't rare or special enough, this is the car for you.
It's like you're watching Top Gear, what's going on? This carried on through to Horizon 3, except instead of Jeremy talking, it was an Australian called Warren, and he gave very useful information about literally every car manufacturer in the game. It was very cool and informational, but in Horizon 5 that feature has completely vanished. Sure, you could still walk around the car and do all of that, but the narration is completely gone, which is a little bit sad to see. Now I know this isn't really a big deal, in fact it's somewhat good that they got rid of it so they can actually focus on the game itself, but come on, you gotta give credit to the older Forza games for having that feature in their older games, man. We literally never asked for it, but they gave it to us anyways, and we didn't complain. It's good, yeah. Big up whoever thought it would be a good idea, but also big up whoever got rid of it, because then you can focus on the game. Thank you very much. I don't care, man.
Baby, that's your man, but that is my World Cup.
One thing which modern Forza games fails to perfect is the sense of speed, as the cars always feel like they're going slow and there's no real immersion, which I just don't understand, as the older Forza games actually executed this pretty well. As in Forza Horizon 2, when you drive at speed, the steering wheel shakes and it gives the feeling that the car's actually going fast, which is amazing. But 8 years later to Horizon 5, the steering wheel is static even when traveling at 300 miles per hour. And also in Horizon 1, the exterior camera angle turns into a yard gal. Yeah, look at that shake, it's bomba, it's mad, you know. However, in Forza Horizon 5, go at the same speed and you'll see zero shaking. I'm bored of this sense of speed. Let's go back to Horizon 1. Damn, man, look at that shit, that thing, you know. Now sure, this isn't Drive Club levels of immersion, but it's heaps better than modern Forza games. So fingers crossed that the developers take a step backwards and reintroduce this sense of speed, because the old sense of speed is different gravy, I'm telling you, mate.
I ain't slipping, got the full fizzy in the
Okay,
club.
now the biggest downgrade from the old Forza games to modern Forza games has to be the damage model. Now this isn't an opinion, these are straight facts. The damage model in new Forza games are terrible. It's literally impossible to write off your car. It actually frustrates me how big of a downgrade this damage model is. Oh my god, why is this so bad? Hey, you know what, I'll show you a demonstration. Here I have a Mitsubishi Eclipse, a very nice car. Hey, Theo bought one recently. Anyways, here I am crashing into walls trying to get as much damage as possible. And as you can see, the damage is very minimal. I wouldn't even call that damage, that's a bit of a scuff, you know. Got a bit of Tika and I'll be gone in seconds, you know. Whereas in an older Forza game like Motorsport 4, even a slow impact can completely write off your car. The body panels get warped, bumpers fly off into another dimension, headlights smash, the car is mush up, you hear me, man? So I just don't understand how the developers with a brand new engine and a whole load of extra money on development can't just improve the damage model of the cars. I'm like, how hard can it be to just take a step backwards? I mean, Motorsport 4 is 11 years old, yet it's defecating on the Horizon 5 damage model. How? It's not just Motorsport 4. Even Forza Motorsport 3 has way better damage model than the current games. Honestly, this is just embarrassing. Come on, Forza, you need to up your standards and compete with your older games, man. I can't believe I'm saying that, Alma. Your older games are bodying you in damage model. What do you mean? Step up your game, man.
Came from Cali like Mr. Shakur.
Okay, who at Forza thought it would be a good idea to make convoys a thing? Come on, nobody knows how to use it, it's very glitchy, random people join your convoy when you don't want them to. It's all just a massive shamble. So please get rid of the convoys and bring back online lobbies, as this would massively improve the gameplay experience of Forza Horizon games. Speaking of which, now I feel like the gameplay experience of Forza games is dying down very quickly. I mean, I never hop onto Horizon 5 just to play it as a game. The only time I open up the game is to make videos. Hey, that's when you know the game's done out for you. Whereas the older Forza games really felt enjoyable to play through. One reason why is because of the progression. In Horizon 1, you get given an old battered Volkswagen Corrado to do races in, which is good. It's progression, it's good progression, it's a slow car. But in Horizon 2 onwards, the starter cars were mad. These aren't even starter cars, these are cars you aspire to own in the game. How can they give you these cars right at the start? Nah man, you're done out, mate. So I feel like Forza really needs to go back to this old progression system, as starting off in slow cars was very enjoyable. Another reason why I feel like the gameplay experience is very lackluster is because of the lack of cutscenes. Because let's be honest, they've been getting worse and worse. As here is what cutscenes in Horizon 1 looked like. They were so cinematic and beautiful, it gave an insight towards every character in the game. It was perfect, man. I see it's so fair, come on man, you would not smash her. But here is what the only cutscene in Horizon 5 looks like. Yep, there's only one cutscene in the whole game. How could a AAA racing game franchise cut down on something as important as cutscenes, man? How do you do? What do you mean? How do you do it, mate? It's actually sad. It's actually sad. I'm going mad. So I personally reckon that if the developers reintroduce proper progression with slow cars and frequent cutscenes, the gameplay experience could be made a million times better. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then you might enjoy this video up here, which I'm hopefully pointing at. You might enjoy that video. And if you want to see my face and your timeline once every 4 days. You probably don't, but there's a button down below here, hopefully here. If you press it, then you'll be subscribed to my channel, and happy days. Anyways, have a good one, guys. Cheers.